In this movie, we visit, in order, Acacia, which used to be called Thyratira, Manisa, which used to be called Magnesium ad Sipylum, Izmir, which used to be called Smyrna, Selcuk, Magnesia on Meander, Priene, Doğanbey, Miletus, and Didyma. Of course, we're not going to give a blow-by-blow description of every rock we found in the place, although we'd like to. Actually, going to these places isn't like going to church after church after church and castle after castle after castle, and that's because they all have their unique stories to tell. And for your viewing comfort, we have condensed 2 days worth of touring into just 18 minutes. Every day was a hot day, and on this occasion we pulled over to a shady spot at a cemetery for a rest. I come and get a drink.
Oh, poor baby.
Get out there.
Yeah. I just washed my feet in there. I don't know if you still want to drink it.
Yeah, look how the water's really going through.
I know, I noticed that too. Not much water left in there, so those guys have had a drink.
And it is filling it up as well.
Yeah. By 2 p.m. we had arrived at Acacia. Its ancient name was Thyratira, a small town with a population of 85,000. It's not a big place, but because of its narrow roads, the remains of the ancient site were hard to find. Our GPS guided us to the general area, then I had to get out on foot to search for the actual archaeological site. This small city block is all that remains of the ancient site of Thyratira, which can be seen in about 5 minutes. Artifacts found prove that there were settlements here 5,000 years ago, and that in the past this was a busy trade centre because of its strategic location at the intersection of important roads. It was one of the centres where money was first used, and also one of the 7 churches of the Bible book of Revelation, where a woman named Jezebel taught and seduced Christians to commit sexual immorality and to eat things sacrificed to idols. You can see the entire site without entering it. Besides, we didn't want to disturb the ticket office staff. At Manisa, we stopped to view Niobe, who turned into stone. Niobe is one of the tragic figures in mythology. She was daughter of Tantalus, the son of Zeus. She had 14 children who were all killed, and as a result turned into stone in mourning. Here she is, right here. Today, Izmir is a huge city, the 3rd largest in Turkey with 2.6 million people. Izmir was once Smyrna, a city founded by Greek colonists 3,000 years ago. It came to grow under the influence of successive regional powers such as Lydia, Greece and finally Rome. By 200 AD, it was, along with Ephesus and Pergamon, one of the 3 most important cities in the Roman province of Asia. This is one of the 7 churches of the Bible book of Revelation, where the Christians were poor materially but rich spiritually. As in Acacia, the remaining ancient site is just a small area of Izmir where archaeological digs are ongoing. The finds here go back 11,000 years. On the way out from Smyrna, our GPS took us through the old winding suburban areas of Smyrna. and just as we were about to doubt its accuracy and abandon its recommendations, we popped out onto the main motorway. We of little faith in technology. We arrived late the previous night in Selcuk looking for the Antique Hotel and drove past the Antique Hotel several times, not realising they were the same hotel but in different languages. The stay there was one of the most memorable and enjoyable, and the hotel lived up to the glowing reviews that were on Expedia and TripAdvisor. Great value at $40 a night. Selcuk is a small town with a population of 30,000 and is a base for touring Ephesus, and famous for its storks and stork nests. The ancient site of Magnesia is off the beaten track and not even mentioned in guidebooks such as The Lonely Planet. Consequently, we were the only tourists there. There are two cities called Magnesia in this region. Magnesia ad Sipylum, whose modern name is Manisa, which we visited earlier on in this video, and this one, Magnesia on the Meander River. This was once a powerful and prosperous city like Ephesus, and had its origins over 3,000 years ago. It was destroyed by the Sumerians between 726 and 660 BC, but was rebuilt by the Ephesians. After the time of the Romans, the city declined and was eventually abandoned. The two Magnesias get their names from the magnetic rocks found in these areas. In modern times, excavations started in 1891 by German archaeological teams and continue to this day. The artifacts have been moved to the museums of Istanbul, Aden, Berlin and Paris. Priene is perched high on the slopes of Mount Makali and enjoys an isolated atmosphere in stark contrast with the crowds and commerce at Ephesus. In fact, other than ourselves, there were only about 3 other tourists at this huge archaeological site. Its emptiness has an eerie vibe with only the sounds of the wind, the high-pitched whirring of the cicadas, and the soft scuttle of lizards scampering around the stones. It was formerly on the seacoast and, like Ephesus, was built overlooking the ocean on steep slopes and terraces extending from sea level to a height of 1,250 feet. Today, after several centuries of change in the landscape, it's inland by several miles, overlooking the Meander River, with its own version of Ayers Rock, Australia. Every rock tells a story. I'm a bad listener though. What is that rock?
That's a Jewish rock.
Yeah?
With a lampstand carved on it.
Okay, well,
Like
I'll start over there, you start over there. We've probably only got about a couple of thousand rocks to look through. Look, there's about 1 million of them over there. The city was built to a plan 2,400 years ago, and like Ephesus, the harbour would silt up and the population would find itself living in pest-infested swamps and marshes. As a result, a lot of the city is still under many feet of sediment, so there's still a lot of archaeological work to be done here. By 200 CE, the city was largely abandoned and most of the population moved to Miletus. Priene was a wealthy city, as evidenced by its plenitude of fine marble homes and private dedications of public buildings, not to mention the city's association with Miletus and Alexander the Great. 1/3 of the buildings had indoor toilets, which was rare for the time. Also 1/3 of the residents had indoor flowing water. Hey, stand by one of those cogs. Yeah, that one will do, the big one, yeah, that's it.
You don't think they might be pillars?
No, this is where Fred Flintstone gets his stuff from. The city's history goes back to 600 BC, and it's believed to have been settled by the Ionians under Aegyptus. Cyrus captured it in 545 BC, and by 400 BC it was governed by a democracy. This is the assembly hall. I guess that table there is to table the minutes. And have you got any comments to make?
I would like to table something, put something to the chair.
Right, hang on. To the chair? What, the chair you're sitting on?
I'd like to change the seating arrangements.
Yeah?
Because these black stones are hot as hell. It's about 40 something degrees already.
Okay then.
It's pretty hot sitting down here on this chair.
Well, there's the table, so I'll table the minutes on that. As with everything we do, we took up opposite sides. Excavations were first done by the English in 1765 and continue to this day, and while we were there, German and Turkish teams were working.
Hüla bir ilgilen bakalım. Sen de kalkma o taşın üzerine kalkma. Koca taşın üzerine çökecek taş aşağı.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hallo.
Hi.
Sprechen Deutsch oder?
No.
Only English?
English, okay.
The Jewish, there's a Jewish symbol there, you know, on the rock.
The Jewish symbol?
Yeah,
Yes.
the, what do you call it? The lampstand.
Yes.
Where would I find that rock? So many rocks.
Nothing written on the paper?
No, it just says it's there. Have you seen it?
There are some. Oh, but
Too hard to find.
It was a real privilege for us to meet and chat with a real archaeologist. Prior to that, the only one I'd ever seen was Indiana Jones. There wasn't much to see at the mountain village of Doğanbey, so after a couple of minutes we continued our journey to Miletus. Stand by that rock over there and I'll take a picture.
Which rock would that be then?
The one you rock up to. We're so opposite that we have to stand on opposite sides of the rock. Okay, go. Walk up the steps.
Another theatre, another workout.
Looks like it. Miletus was an ancient Greek city on the mouth of the Meander river, and prior to the Persian invasion in 600 BC, it was considered to be the greatest and wealthiest of Greek cities. Its great theatre is a reminder of its former commercial and governmental importance between 700 BC and 700 BCE. The theatre seats 15,000.
Around here?
Okay, I got it. Archaeological evidence shows that this area was settled over 5,000 years ago. In the later years, the harbour of Miletus silted up and its commercial importance declined. From the top of the theatre, we can see the remains of its harbour, its stadium, baths and agoras. And action.
Prime seats have got provision for water bottles.
Excellent.
There's another seat up there, that's obviously a prime seat as well.
The holes in the seats, of course, were for the canvas awning support poles. Action.
One of the good things about being in a hot country and sweating like a pig is it doesn't matter where you're and how much paper you've always got somewhere to stick it. This is the one good thing about going to these places. They've got these little taps where you can wash your feet and cool them down. This one, the water's a little bit warm, sort of like tepid, but it's better than nothing. Quite difficult to film on one foot. Oops.
Just a few more columns and Didyma's Temple of Apollo might have been one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. But its 122 columns only made it the second largest temple in the world, the title being taken by the Temple of Artemis near Ephesus, which had 127 columns. Didyma was a very important site in its day, being home to an oracle whose influence was only second to the one at Delphi. Ancient Didyma was never a real town. Only the priests who specialised in oracular temple management lived there. Didyma's history goes back to 2000 BC and today is subject to ongoing restoration work. Do a take. And action.
There's those fittings for light bulbs again.
Oh yeah. There's some more cogs. And so with this visit, our 20th day away ended and we headed back toward our hotel.